Good day, everyone. Welcome to Naija History Vibes with Rich and King. So today we're not really looking at anything in history, but an history in the making. And what could that be? Lagos, Calabar, Coastal Road. I know this rings a bell. Most of you heard, and you guys must have heard about Lagos, Calabar, Coastal Road with real estate agents like myself trying to sell real estate to you, telling you about Ubejileki, Dangote Refinery, New Coastal Road. But today, I'll be sharing an insight with you like, what is the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road all about? What's the need for the economy? What's the need for Lagos? What is the need for you? And what is the need for me? So, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, a coastal road of 700 kilometers that cuts across Lagos, Ogun, Ondo, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Calabar, your Cross River State. It gained more traction in 2010 under the administration of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan under NIIMP. But after a while, it died down. It faded. Like we didn't hear much about it again because of lack of funding. But all thanks to the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that kickstarted the project just March 2024, awarding the contract to High-Tech Construction Company Limited. The road is meant to be a 10-lane road, five on the right, five on the left. But ahead there is actually a replanning to make it 6 lanes. It also have a meridian in the middle of it. It's going to be 11 inches concrete road, and it's going to be like a real major road. Because if you know, most of the roads we actually know in Nigeria are actually inland roads. And most of them are actually connecting the south south to the north and not actually connecting south south to southwest. But this Lagos Calabar Coastal Road will be changing that for us. The Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, what is it for the economy? Like the economy implication. I know most of you heard about the structures being brought down along Oniru, the VI axis, Okwaja, and there was like the news were just flying here and there, like people were complaining, government collecting their. But that's not what we are looking at today. Today, we are looking at what is in it for us. What is the economic implication? Because most of the roads we actually know, they actually hold. Like if you look at Lagos Ibadan Expressway, it was commissioned in 1978. Even your Third Milan Bridge was constructed in the 80s and commissioned in 1990. Even your Benin or Shagamu Expressway was constructed in the 60s and later it was awarded to Dunes for reconstruction and dualization later on. So if you look at most of all these roads, they actually hold. They are hold because the lifespan of a road is meant to be 30 years, but most of all these roads they are actually over 30 years. And the deteriorated road actually disrupts supplies from the southern states to the west, which is from the south south to the southwest. But with this coastal road, there will be connectivity that will be connecting major economic hubs. Like let's look like an aspect. I remember in 2019 when my sis came to visit me, because most times we say foods are expensive in Lagos, foods are expensive in Lagos. But have you done your research to know why foods are actually expensive in Lagos? Remember in 2019 when my sis came to visit me, she was like, she went to market, she wanted to prepare something, and she was like, no, the market, things too cost. She was just complaining. And funny enough, over of recent, I went to Abuja. I had to call my wife. I was like, babe, Omo, things cheap for you, things cheap for you. Because just with 4,000 naira plus, I was able to eat well in a good fast food. But you know that if you're in Lagos and if you want to eat well in a good fast food, if you never owe Tekpa, if you never owe Tekpa, you never ready to chat. So why are food expensive in Lagos? Most times, if you've done your research, you know that Lagos is underproducing most of the foods that they consume. Like most of the foods being consumed in Lagos are not being produced in Lagos. From your millets, maize, rice, fish, cassava, they are being brought into Lagos from other states. And most times, the supply chain, logistics actually incur costs. But this is a major aspect. Most consumer goods, before they get to Lagos, those highly perishable goods. I don't know if you've been on Third Mainland Bridge before, or even your Lekki Ekpe from Ekpe axis to Majek, Eleko, around that way axis. If you're on that route, especially on Third Mainland Bridge, I usually take note of this thing. You will see those buses or vehicles being stacked, packed with tomatoes, pepper, yam. Sometimes even the farmers or the people that are conveying this, you see them at the back of this same produce. And most of these vehicles, they even break down. They'll be jam packed. Like you just see the yams, plantain, all of this. And before most of all these things get to Lagos, 60% of them have spoiled. So what do you expect the producers or the suppliers or the businessmen in charge to do? They can't bear the cost alone. So this is what they do. They had the cost of that 60% to the left over 40% of goods remaining. And that's the spike in price. That's why you don't expect what was being sold in Ore for 100 naira to be sold here in Lagos for 100 naira. It can't work. What was being sold in Ibadan for how much to be sold here? It can't work. Same thing. Because most of most of the fishes being consumed in Lagos are actually being produced, supplied by Deltas and Bayelsa. Yeah, you can check it. So with this major coastal road, you can see because right now, if you want to travel from Lagos to Calabar, it will take you 14 good hours. But with this coastal road being put in place by God's grace, yeah, we're actually on Nigeria, so by God's grace, hmm, it's going to slash that journey from 14 hours to 7 hours. So there's going to be a major connectivity connecting economic hubs along the coastal line, along the Gulf of Guinea, because that's where our coast actually pass through. Artisans in Ondo, they will have a direct market, a direct access market to Lagos market. They'll be able to sell their craft produce. Even farmers in Akwa Ibom and Calabar, they'll be able to directly sell and convey their goods to Lagos. So with slash in the logistic process, with slash in the ASUS, unlike now currently. So I guess by then in the future, the average price of goods, food in Lagos will be slashed down a bit compared to other states, of which currency is actually almost 2x thereabouts. So this is also going to boost tourism. Most diasporans, when they come to Nigeria, most of them just settle in Lagos and they don't even travel to their own base. I know of someone that actually came to Nigeria. The person came to Nigeria and the person never visited Delta State. If his family had to come down to visit him, why? Probably because of the bad road. Because most times when they even come down safe, they don't even want to fly around. They just want to like see nature, like just see what the landscape looks like that feeling of being home again. But because of actually the bad inland road, they don't they don't go on such trips. But with this coastal road, it's going to boost tourism as well. It's going to boost investment, foreign investments. Of course, along the coastal road, there'll be industries. There'll be industries, real estate properties around. Like it's going to be a major hub, and it's placing Nigeria as one of the giant economic hub. So with stuff like this, you can already see advantage of what the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is all about. Also, it's going to be a means of revenue collection because the project is actually $11 billion, which is 15 trillion naira. Yeah, I know most of you are screaming right now. When I heard it at first, I was like, come on. But I was doing my research and I was surprised. I was trying to compare that same kilometers, 700 kilometers to the cost of what that same 700 kilometers will be built. in the Western world. And I was surprised. The price I was seeing, I was like, so this government, they didn't really inflate the price or anything. I was seeing above 2x, even without the railway track. And I was like, wow, oh, so this government, yeah, we can applaud them on that angle. And the government is only front running it with 13%. Of course, the contract was awarded to high-tech construction company. So they are going to the other remaining costs will be on their own parts, and there is going to be a revenue collection between 5 to 10 years through tolling. Like there will be toll gates on different sections, and come May 2025, 30 kilometers will be commissioned. Yeah, the road is already under construction. From most parts in the VI houses have already been built, over to street light poles. They've already be set up, and manholes have already been put in place. And if you go to the Ubejileki axis, you will see that they are doing a lot of dredging, sand filling. Yeah, that axis behind just Dangote refinery, you'll see that they're actually working, they're carrying a lot of work. So I don't know whether from what I've said, you've got any idea to know like what where this thing is taking us to. Of course, this is actually one of the first major coastal road in Nigeria. I know we have coastal road and coastline across Lagos Badagry Expressway, but even those roads, they are deteriorated. And this one is spanning 700 kilometers. And I also heard that there's also going to be a 1,000 kilometer road also in place that will also in one way link to this 700 kilometer road that will connect to the north. So you see, it's actually one of the next big thing. So I guess from this little I've said, you must have gotten an idea like, know what's in it for the economy, what's in it for you, what's in it for me. And I know most of you with this want to like, okay, if this is happening, of course, by then, land around the houses must have spiked high, just like before now. Another aspect of this thing, I guess I'm going to do an entire video again on that aspect. The Lekki Seaport. Yeah, I didn't make mention of it. The Lekki Seaport. If you know that the Lagos Apapa, the Tinker, the Lagos Seaport was actually, it wasn't built on major coastline. It was actually built on riverine system, which make the depth just 13.5 meters. But the Lekki Deep Seaport is actually 16.5 meters, of which most ultra-large cargo vehicles before now couldn't bet in Lagos Seaport. It couldn't bet in Tinker or Apapa Seaport. So this is what they do. We lose most of our shipments. When I was doing my research, I found out that 30% of our shipments had to go to Tama in Ghana Seaport, or Lome Seaport in Togo. And most times these shipments are actually meant for Nigerians, and they have to reroute, conveying these goods in smaller feeder ships back to Nigeria. Additional cost. So that's why you see most things they'll tell you when you want to buy something, things are costed, they'll tell you, import duties, oh, the cost, that and that. So I'll do a separate video on Lekki Seaport, comparing it to the Lagos, Apapa, and Tinker Seaport, so you see the major advantage of this. So with what I've said, just tell me what you think about this video, what you think about the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. If you have anything you want to ship in, just tell me, comment. And also, if from what I've said you want to buy properties, you don't have to be scared again. We've already seen the coastal line has already, the coastal road has already passed across. So whatever properties we are selling right now, you know that it doesn't fall in line with the coastal road. We still have properties, there on me. So you can still contact us. If you want anything, you can still contact me. That is it for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and watch out for our next episode, which is going to be probably talking about the Lekki Deep Seaport in comparison to the Lagos Apapa Tinker Seaport. Thank you.